guys. This is going to be a longer series than just the one-shots I've been putting out. I have a very linear way of doing this story, and I really want to get this story out because I've been thinking about it off and on. This story is, what if Izuku was a mad titan? Now, I'm going back to the basic what-ifs for male Izuku. We start off, and if you see some go-between between Izuku and Genji, that's because there are some. We start off in a hospital with a just-turned 18-year-old Izuku. And he's going to be rich. He's going to be rich. He's been talking to a doctor. This doctor says there is no saving your limbs. We had to amputate them. You are literally just a torso and a head. He looks at the doctor irritated and he goes, I didn't care about my limbs. What I cared about is getting new ones. He goes, there's nobody willing to take your case. He goes, I'm not asking for people from my island. I'm not asking for the newest high-tech stuff. I just want to be able to use hands and feet again. If they're last century's tech, I don't care. I just want to be able to stand and grab stuff with hands again. He goes, still, nobody wants to do this for you. Oh, nobody? So the fact that I'm labeled quirkless isn't helping this fact? The doctor starts sputtering and goes, absolutely not. I understand. Could you do me a favor? He goes, yes. What is it? Could you call somebody for me? Put it on speaker. He goes, who? Oh, a family friend. He's known as Hatsu? I've never heard of that name. Oh, you don't need to. I'm friends with his daughter, and I saved her from multiple different incidences. He can help me. Can you just call him? I don't see a Hatsum on here. It's under Mr. Stark. Mr. Stark? It sounds familiar, but I can't place the name. Just put it on speaker. Yo, Izuku, what do you need, buddy? So, I have been in somewhat of a medically induced coma for the last 30 days due to an incident. And I have been turned down for prosthetics for my hands and feet, mostly legs and arms, because nobody knows what my quirk can or will do. The other side of the phone is quiet. He goes, I don't care who you send. I just want a pair of arms and legs. That's all I'm asking. So please, send somebody to give me a pair of arms and legs, and I'll increase your budget from that original $300 million a month to $1 billion a month. He goes, no need to raise it. I'll send May. He goes, good to know I have the best inventor for this century. So, when will I expect her? They hear on the other side, hey, May! He screams out into the place she is. They hear a crash and bang and then an explosion. She goes, yes? An incident happened 30 days ago. Do you know it? She goes, yeah. Izuku was attacked. Why? People are refusing to give him new limbs. She freezes. It was that bad? He goes, yup. She goes, how bad? Izuku cuts in on the phone. Put me on speaker. He goes, here's speaker. Clicks on speaker. She asks, how bad is it? He goes, I don't have a liver, one lung, half my stomach. He starts listing everything he doesn't have. He's still weak of breath. He's getting used to the new things. She goes, I'll do this all free if you buy the materials and it's only my tech you're using. He goes, gladly. When am I transferring to your hospital? Mr. Hatsune comes on. You'll be here in 24 hours. If you're not in that hospital room, please tell me the hospital and hospital room does so. If you're not there, I am suing this entire country to rubble. Understand? I'm talking to you, doctor, in the room, because since he has no arms and legs, you're probably listening to this phone call. If he moves, this entire country goes to rubble. Because you don't know who I am, but I will know who you are. And you don't want to anger me. So 24 hours later, Izuku gets picked up and taken to the Hatsune's private hospital where they do veterans, heroes, and civilian in cybernetics, where they mainly do civilian models unless people like Ectoplasm want to continue their hero career or military career, which then they upgrade it to the specs that are needed. May looks at him and starts crying at how bad he is. Skin is completely gone. They have to put him in an artificial chest cavity, so his heart, everything has pressure to keep going. She is crying. They did all this, barely willing to do all this so they can keep getting money from the Midoriyas. Because Midoriyas are an electric company started by Izuku's great grandfather. They started a thermal plant that ran off of quirk energy for fire quirks. Those who have no control or barely any control can go to the thermal plant, learn how to use their quirks, and as a compensation, they come back once a month, heat up whatever needs to be heated, and yeah, they have thousands of people who are coming back every day, maybe every hour, yeah. They have a lot of people coming in, so they get paid a lot. Completely eco-friendly for those who don't need fuel for their quirk. May immediately starts going over the schematics. Izuku pipes in going, so I think I know what my quirk does. She snaps her head towards him because Izuku's entire family knows his quirk is dormant. He's not quirkless. Everybody thinks he's quirkless because nobody's seen evidence of a quirk. And she goes, what do you mean? He goes, I could feel you touching the container for my lungs and my heart. And she goes, what? Like it was my own skin. She goes, that's weird. So they don't test it because if they touch the lungs and heart container, they could mess up the instruments, and yeah, they don't want to do that. So they slowly build him a body again. First, measuring out his torso, making sure it's all protected. And while they're doing this, they figure out that when they plug his nervous system in to the systems and have it all linked together, it all of a sudden gets really hard to do anything to him. His skin becomes tougher, like metal, and so on. And they're like, wait. I think we know what your quirk is. He goes, I'm going to call it assimilation. They look at him like, what? He goes, I don't care how long it takes if you even have to take my eyes. I want as much cybernetics as possible to make me a great hero. May looks at him and goes, all free, right? He goes, I'm your lab rat. She grins viciously. Now, people have gotten into UA, the Class 1As in UA, and Mirio, Tamaki, Nejire, the bubbly girl from the work studies. Periwinkle hair, floats around on the little swirls. Her. They're all second years when Class 1A comes in. That's important. So, we go to halfway through the year. Sports festival. He's watching the sports festival, and he has arms. He has no legs yet. He has arms. His torso's completely done. He has a full stomach because May rebuilt his stomach. His heart, he doesn't need to eat as much, but he still needs to eat a lot, like a normal person. 1 or 2 meals a day is fine for him because he doesn't really need the nutrients. He burns it through the artificial areas to give power to the rest of the body. And while May was installing something, she accidentally cut herself and a little bit blood and DNA stayed on that piece. Then she installed it. The cybernetic eyes is what she accidentally bled on. She installed it. And he goes, did you add a zoom feature? She goes, no. Why? He goes, well, I can zoom with it. She looks and she sees a crosshair pupil, a very faint crosshair in the pupil. She goes, give me a minute. So she goes to UA the next day because she's been in UA support course. She talks to Powerloader and tells him the situation. Powerloader comes in and gets to meet the famous Midoriya that May has been putting all of her time and effort into, so she's not blowing up the lab. And she's just drawing schematics. So he thanks Midoriya about this, and Midoriya says it's no issue. I'm friends with May. She's been doing this for free, basically. And I quite enjoy her rants on why engineering is better than quirk science. But I need access to a quirk, or at least some of the genetic DNA of a quirk holder who has an electricity quirk, like an electricity generation quirk. And he goes, I may be able to get that done. Why? So they tell him the speculations of his quirk, and he goes, I do not know. Let me talk to Nezu. Nezu meets him. Nezu hits it off. Nezu's now terrifying because he has a pupil. And Powerloader regrets this. Aizawa, who's in the staff room, who's now attached to 1A, he freezes, and the entirety of the staff see him go from his normal pale pallor to ghost white. And he goes, Powerloader, you asshole, what did you do? Because Powerloader isn't there. Recovery Girl gets a phone call. She was in the teacher's lounge talking to a few staff members. And she picks up, yes? Yes, Nezu. Okay. I'll ask. Why? Looks at Shota immediately while talking to Nezu. Yeah, he's right here. Okay, I'll tell him. Click. So, she looks directly at Shota, stands up, and goes, "We may have a new student. You need to follow me." She walks past Shota, and he is pissed because Power Loader was the only one not there. She goes to the nurse's office and looks through the blood vials and finds Kaminari. Takes some, puts it on a little tray, puts it in a thing, and seals it so it's cold. She puts most of the rest of the genetic DNA back in the locker. They have the genetic DNA of their students for immediate testing. They had it the full first year of them at college. This is a college. Full first year of the college. And then once the year's over, they document it, lock it away, and incinerate the genetic DNA. So she pulls out some of her genetic DNA, puts it on her little microscope thing, does the same with Aizawa, tosses the 2 syringes in the incinerator, and puts them all in the cooler. They drive 3 straight hours to the Hatsum Cybernetic Creation Hospital. And they meet Izuku Midoriya. He immediately recognizes Aizawa Shota, looks at Mei, and says, "I want his quirk in my eyes." She goes, "That's what I asked for." I asked for multiple abilities on top of the electric one. And they're like, "What?" Nezu comes around the corner on a little hoverboard, speedy hoverboard, and stops right next to Aizawa and goes, "Say hello to one of your new students next year when his legs are done being built." So Nezu explains that he wants to be an underground hero. Aizawa makes a joke of how big he is. He will make it an underground. Then Izuku says active camouflage, completely invisible when he's standing still. He moves slightly, you barely see a ripple in the air, barely there, and then deactivates active camo and goes, "I currently have no way to regenerate the energy without eating, so I'd have to eat close to 300 pounds of food a day to constantly regenerate the amount of electricity, active camo, or any of the cybernetics I want." As I was like, okay, that doesn't stop the question of, why did you say you want my abilities in your eyes? May goes, "Oh yeah, that's his quirk." Nezu goes, "I asked around after this by calling, and they said he's quirkless." So I checked his medical file, and it says NA, not applicable. Not applicable as in not manifested? No, it's manifested, and they could tell it's active, but nobody knew why or how it's active. Izuku goes, "I believe it's the ability to assimilate whatever is put into my nervous system. So when my eyes were changed out for my cybernetic ones, starts changing the colors, May accidentally dropped a bit of blood on one of the circuit boards. My eyes were assimilated into my nervous system, and they took in the DNA, and I can now zoom in and out, like May's quirk. So I want to test that to see if that's actually able to be done, or I'm just going crazy and May forgot she added the zoom feature by adding a electricity generating quirk, a healing quirk, and an ocular quirk. So Recovery Girl goes, I see you're mostly cybernetic. What do you have left? He goes, half a stomach, one lung, and my heart. Most of my intestines had to be pulled out for the room for the cybernetics. But I still have my manhood. And all of them look at him like he's just lost it. And he goes, don't worry. That's probably going to go too. May's like, nope, I'm saving that part. He looks at her like, the fuck? Just what? He goes, I'm not going to even try to question that. Recovery Girl goes, can you take me to the lead surgeon for him, the lead mechanic and everything? And so May takes her along, and May shows Recovery Girl Izuku's equipment, and Recovery Girl goes, yeah, I suggest you keep that too. What? Recovery Girl had some fun when she was younger. She's a youthful heroine. She's always had fun. When she could. But otherwise, we go to another few months later. One leg is installed. Recovery Girl comes back and says, I have a few quirks you might want. Because the tests were proven that they do work. He goes, and what are they? Engine. Both the Ingenium brothers' engines. He looks interested. Creation. He goes, no, I saw the specs on that creation. Well, since the quirk uses the body's energy and it was immediately replaced by the fat stores, you may not need it. We could test it. He goes, we can, but I may not be able to use it. Let's just add it anyway. That's going to be important for later. So they keep adding quirks to him as he's being built. Finally, it's 1 month before the second year. And Izuku has engines on the back of his calves, and the back of his elbows. He has multiple quirks, hardening steel, let's say, let's go hardening steel, gyrate, and a few others I'll flesh out by the next one. Erasure recovery. Recovery Girl's quirk recovery. All he has to do is touch them, and he can transfer energy with the electrification that Denki has. So he walks into the school as this just tank of a man. He has everything from his neck and lower completely covered up with cloth. Nobody hears the moving of limbs, like robotic limbs, because, well, he has a few stealth quirks. One of the stealth quirk was minimal sound. No matter how much his body moves, it will make minimal sound. And then he has another quirk called sound dampener. As long as his body's moving, it will dampen the sound a few octaves and decibels, and just turns it down. If it was like 30, it turns down to 27. So yeah. So he walks into UA. Yes, he still has his manhood. May reattached it. It is healthy. He walks into UA. May's cheering and jumping. And he picks her up like a child by grabbing her head. She keeps walking. Parlor's like, "What are you doing?" He walks over to a bench, sits her down, closes her eyes. She is out like a light. He goes, "As long as her eyes are open, she can't fall asleep." He walks back. "Sorry about that. She's been tired for the last few days." Parlor goes, "I haven't seen her tired." He goes, "Then you haven't been around May long enough." The more excited she is, the more tired she is, because she's trying to compensate. Yeah, it's very bad. It's a very bad loop. So, we go. The recommendation obstacle course. 19 people in the observation room. Izuku doesn't know who's in the observation room. But they're told a transfer from a recovery hospital was sent to UA to be tested and to be put into the hero program. And they're asking why second years and not first years. And they go, because he is that powerful. They haven't gotten their provisional licenses. They were just put into work studies, then internships. Yeah. Just put through work studies. They've gotten a little bit of taste of paperwork and life in the streets for the heroes. So, Mike is standing by the side of the obstacle course, sees Izuku walk in, and as he's walking through the door, Mike says, "You have 5 minutes to get to the end of this obstacle course. The faster you are, the better you are. Doesn't matter what you do to the obstacle course as long as you can get to the end." He goes, "Doesn't matter at all what I do." He goes, "Nope." He goes, "Okay." Cracks neck. Stands up straight. And says, on your mark." Mike chuckles. "You ready? Set." And he leans down into a running stance. A few sharp eyes see metal underneath his pant legs. His sleeves are long enough, they go up to halfway through his hand, wrapping around his thumb so they can't slide down, but he can't really do that with his pants right now because he needs full range of motion without tearing them. He goes, "Use none of the quirks you have." He goes, "Already on it. All I'm using is my own quirk." He goes, "Good. And go." All of a sudden, there is a streak of green, because that's the tuxedo he was wearing a tuxedo onto campus. A streak of green, mountain of a man-shaped holes in every single barrier, and they look and they see him wiping off a little dust from his shoulders. Everybody's just jaw dropped. Katsuki is raging. He was irritated when Izuku came in. So Katsuki blows his way out of the observation room and dive bombs Izuku. As Katsuki is about to grab his face, Izuku's hand comes up and clutches Bakugo's hand. An explosion goes off, tearing off his right glove. And then he flicks his hand away and his entire arm to one direction, ragdolling Katsuki through a wall, and says, "Sorry about that, an angry Pomeranian tried to attack me." Mike is just awestruck at how much force Izuku was putting out. He goes, "No worry. I don't even think that was 2 seconds." He goes, "No, it was not. It was 1.49 seconds. Points at his eyes, and he notices his glove's torn off. And he goes, "I like that glove. Oh well, I'll get a new pair." Momo sees what he was looking at and notices that he has a cybernetic arm, or at least a cybernetic hand. So she goes down and asks for the measurements of his hand. He gives it to her and asks who she is, and she produces a glove. The exact one he lost, and hands it to him. And she goes, "I have a pair just like those." And he goes, "You have a pair this big?" And she goes, "No." Has a little laugh at it. She goes, "No, I have a pair smaller than those for my hand." And he goes, "They're very comfortable, aren't they?" She goes, yes, they are." He goes, "Well, let's talk later. I gotta talk with the teachers." So he walks over to the teachers, and they are just jaw on the ground, mopping the floor with how low it is. And Aizawa goes, "Did you have to break through all the barriers?" He goes, "That's going to be my code name, the Mad Titan Atlas." They're like, "And why is your code name going to be the Mad Titan Atlas?" "Because what I'm going to do is going to be a contradiction. And it's going to drive people mad." They're like, what are you talking about?" I have a question for all of you before I answer your question. Have you guys played chess or shogi? And most of them are like, "Yeah." What does the king represent for you guys? And they're like, "The leader, the person who's in control of the entire kingdom." Aizawa goes, "The next generation." Everybody looks at Aizawa like, "What?" He snaps his fingers. They hear the click of metal against metal, and the same as a normal snap. And he points at Aizawa. "Exactly. The next generation. Without the next generation, the kingdom falls. The ruler is the queen." Yup. Prepared to give their life to take out the enemy. So, what my contradictions are going to be, I will be showing one way to adults and normal civilians, but to children, I'm going to be showing something completely different. Okay. Then they look at him and go, so you acted as if that person is not a big deal. Do you know who that was? He goes, yup. That was the hero in Training Ground Zero. Acting like a child because he was wrong. Like, I'm confused. Aizawa goes, you have history with him, don't you? He goes, yup. How was he? They're like, Ground Zero? Aizawa goes, huh. Arrogant, self-centered, egotistical, and anger issues. Not much changed, did it? He goes, nope. I've also only been apart from him for 1 year and 1 month. Doesn't help that he went to Aldera. They all freeze, knowing exactly what that was. Once he got his arms back, he started typing up everything that happened at Aldera and sent it off to 300 different news sources throughout Japan and the world. So they are like, we have an anonymous tip that this is happening here. So the heroes went in and they cleaned up Aldera School District. Well, when Aldera saw what was happening, they scrubbed all their files. They couldn't scrub their camera feeds because it's backed up on a different storage. They sent in the virus to delete Katsuki Bakugo from all their camera feeds. So no evidence of his transgressions were out there. Except for Deka City. That's important for later. Clear that. There we go. That'll be important for later. So let's go. The start of the second year, they're told to go to orientation. Aizawa is hazing the first years again. But there you're going to orientation. All Might wasn't on staff last year. He's on staff this year. What nobody knows is Izuku is a descendant of the fourth user of All for One. Danger Sense mutated into the assimilation. They're both mental quirks, just one mental quirk projects itself as a mutation quirk. So, when Chio came in after a meeting with Yagi, she didn't notice that her hands had a little bit of dried blood on it. She checked up on him and she was touching his frame. A little bit of that dried blood flicked off and went into his circuitry, which assimilated into his collective. So we go to the night of the first day, when All for One found the connection they're looking for. And Degoro Banjo, the fourth user, no, Degoro had Black Whip. Or was it Danger Sense? The one who had Danger Sense felt a connection with Izuku more than just the One for All, and said, yo, that's my descendant. I'd like to talk to him at the very least. So can you connect to him for a little bit, see what's going on, read his memories? They're like, sure. They all have dorms already. So All Might stayed on campus overnight, and they watched the memories of Izuku Midoriya. And all except All Might's vestige said he will be the next user of One for All. Not consciously, subconsciously. By amplifying everything. So, it was additive at first. His quirk added durability to everything. So one arm adds like 10 durability to everything. And another arm adds another 10. Well, if the right arm added 10 durability, the left arm times that by 20. Because it added and then times by 2. Yes, it's going to be very, very overpowered. All Might gets pulled into All for One, since it's connected to Izuku now. And he's been told the next user has been chosen by All for One majority rule. Your successor will not be told to you because his life has already been bad enough. And the last time you met your successor, you shot him down so hard he will never trust you. So we will make contact, we will train him, and we will turn him into the hero he should be, and he can be. All Might's freaking out. The very next morning, he forgets all this and knows that it just feels like his successor was the right one. But he can't remember who his successor is. So he tells Nezu, I can't remember who was chosen as my successor, but I feel like he's the right one. Nezu's like, what? I don't remember you ever telling me you chose a successor. So they start discussing, and snippets of the conversation of the dream come back, and he goes, I didn't choose the successor. One for All did. Nezu's eyes widen, and he immediately knows exactly who One for All chose, because that's the only person that could have assimilated One for All without anybody's knowledge. Nezu starts cackling, scaring off Yagi. We go, second day, evening time, when Hero Studies is happening. All Might goes, I heard y'all are on another level of hero training. You know basics, you know quirkless fighting, you know the basics of your quirk, you know how to improve it. Now, let's get on to fighting other people. Pulls out a flashcard, battle trials. So he works with second years and third years. He does not work with first years. Izuku felt stronger, more durable, and faster than he was yesterday. And he doesn't know why. So at lunch, he went to May and he got another quirk out of the blue. And he doesn't know how, but he's like, okay, I'll use it. Yes, he's going to be able to fly, create a black sword. I'm changing the smoke screen to jet flames. That will be important later. The quirk was able to produce flames that had slight thrust in the palm of his hand originally. Then became the ability to fly because it spread to his feet and hands and was significantly more powerful because of One for All. He does have danger sense too. It's battle trial. He does not have the quirks yet. He has his sword. This one. It is, as its name is, Incendiary Impact. He asked May for a hammer. She said, no, I'm giving you a sword. He asked why, and she goes, you're going into underground, not daylight. So the less destruction you have, the better. And he understands a little bit more. The thruster is going to be important later. Because another aspect of jet flames is he can produce it anywhere, including on his weapons. So he starts the exercise, and he's up against Bakugo. Midori was sitting in the back because he's one of the tallest in class, and Bakugo was roughly short, so he was in the front. So everybody sees Bakugo frothing at the mouth to beat up Izuku. Everybody's gotten to know Izuku because he's an open book to most people. The only people he's just shuts off for are Mineta, who somehow is still in the class, and Bakugo. Otherwise, he's an open book. And they noticed that very quickly that those are the only two that shut off, that he shuts out and off for, the friendly persona. And they asked why. He goes, you'll know later. He has a built-in earpiece in his right ear and a backup in his left. So if the right one gets damaged, the left one kicks on. His eyes are cameras, as well as projectors and everything he needs. They're everything he needs visually. The comms in his ears are everything he needs auditorially. And his hero suit looks like that. Yes. His hair flows like a forest down his back. Just the pure pressure of him releasing his aura makes his hair whip about behind him like a cape. Like just one of those tiny little capes just down the back of your neck. Just whip out viciously. Like he's aggravated, and it's a tail. All Might says start. Ochako was about to go forward. He grabs her, puts her behind him, and walks into the building. She asks why he did that. He puts a hand behind him as 3, 2, 1, 0. Boom! Just a giant explosion rips past it, straight from Bakugo's gauntlet. It tearing up the corridor. Nobody can see Izuku. And all of a sudden they hear thump, thump, thump. Because he turned off his sound dampening, sound erasing quirks for his footsteps. And he just walks out of the basically dust and debris with no scratches. He reaches up and grabs the freaking huge sword and starts dragging it behind him towards Bakugo. Bakugo puts up his other gauntlet and pulls the pin. Nothing happens. Again. Everybody's like, what the heck? May's currently in the observation room with everybody and says, quirk, assimilation. Anything attached or added to his nervous system becomes a part of his body. And upon a foreign object becoming a part of his body, it adds to the entirety of his body. All that he had left when I first got a hold of him was one lung, half a stomach, a heart, his brain, and his eyes. Most of his skin was burnt. All that was left was his scalp and hair. Just describing what he had left. Not what he didn't have, what he had left. And his foot-long member. Oh, and both of his testicles. That's important too. He had those intact. Mina, who's a closet pervert, immediately has blood dripping down her nose at that knowledge. How big his manhood is and just how much of a badass he is. So, Bakugo starts lighting off explosions to refill his gauntlets. He just still keeps walking forward, explosion after explosion after explosion. He takes a wide swing, ripping down a wall, cutting into a gauntlet, dropping all the nitroglycerin onto the ground. He lights off an explosion, a big explosion right in front of Bakugo. He picks up his weapon again, rips through another wall. Barely misses the other gauntlet. That's what he's aiming for. Bakugo starts pumping out explosions from that hand. One after another. Then throws it up, catches it with his other hand, and rips out the pin right in his face. Nothing. His eyes are glowing red now because he got a quirk from Fat Gum. Shock absorption. Thanks to the quirk effect of creation and shock absorption from Fat Gum, his entire body has a slight layer over it that acts like normal skin but isn't normal skin. Because it's attached to his nervous system, it basically acts like his normal skin. He can make that layer as thick and as thin as he wants, so he has it a hair thin. Impossible to tear through, by the way. And since his armor is attached to his nervous system, he projects it on the edge of his armor. His eyes glow red, and he says, "Mountain Crusher," slams the entirety of the blade, that entire long segment of the blade, onto the ground, shattering the floor. As he was signaling Uraraka how many seconds before Bakugo, he pointed up. She asked if nobody could hear the comms. She asked what he means, and he says, "Go up through the windows. Don't walk on the second or third floors. It will be a war zone." She didn't know what he was talking about until she got to the 5th floor, and all of a sudden, boom! The entire building shakes, windows shatter, another one goes off, and she's scared. So, she finds the bomb room with Ida. Ida's loosened up a little bit. He's not as strict, but he is still strict. So he tries to get into the mindset of a villain. He knows what their quirks are, so he picks everything up, shoves it into a closet to try to get everything out of the way. Well, it works somewhat. He still does the monologue, but he's trying really hard not to laugh at himself doing the monologue. Finally, Ochako busts a gut laughing. Ida just chuckles and darts for her. She did intern with Gunship. She did intern with Gunhead and learned martial arts. Then she went with Mirako because Mirako saw that she got better with fighting and wanted to learn more. So she learned a lot more fighting and how to be a badass female hero. We go 5 minutes in. It's a 15-minute match. 5 minutes in to the observation room. Bakugo's still fighting. Second gauntlet destroyed. So he discarded his gauntlet and he's going full bore trying to explode him. And finally, May's like, screw this. Clicks onto the pause system, the announcement system, and says, explosions can't harm him. Unless you can make an explosion big enough to simulate a nuclear explosion, you can't harm him. And unclicks the pause system, PA system. And everybody in the building except for Bakugo and everybody stops except for Bakugo and Izuku freeze. Look at May and go, what? She goes, well, this morning, since his quirk allows him to assimilate things that touch his nervous system, he found a new quirk in his system. And it amplified his quirk like 50 times stronger than it already was. He was already able to take a C4 explosion to the face and still come out scratch-free, just it now multiplies the additive effects. Everyone's like, what? So, what originally happened was, if his right arm is durability of, I'm just going to put this in simple numbers, 10, and his left arm is a durability of 10, he now has a durability all across his body of 20, including the two arms now have a durability of 20. Like, okay. Both his legs had a durability of 25, so now he has 70 throughout all of his body. Like, okay, that makes sense. What's the issue? Well, since he got the quirk, it went from 75 to a stupid number. Like, how stupid? It goes 10, 40. Like, whoa, where did 30 come from? She goes, additive then multiplicative. Like, what? So it went 20, then times it by 2 would be 40. I think, okay. Add a leg. That'd be... Mama goes 65. No. She goes, what do you mean? Now multiply it by 2. 130? Yup. And add the last leg. That's not including his torso, which gives him like another 50. Please don't tell me it went legs up. No, it torso, arms, and legs. So you're telling me he's immune to everything except for All Might and basically nuclear bombs. And that's not even considering he has a quirk called hardening and steel. Kirishima goes, hey, that's my quirk. She goes, oh, you must be the hardening kid then. You know your limit's not even close to being done, right? She goes, what do you need? She goes, get hard for me. He goes, whoa, I'm not into girls like you. No, not that. I'd rather ride him, points at the screen. Get hard. He goes, okay. Uses his quirk. Now get harder. He goes, I can't get any harder. She goes, you're limiting yourself. You get harder. Activate your quirk again. He's about to deactivate. She goes, don't deactivate it. Activate it again. I'll try. Flexes the same muscle. Gets harder. Again. He tries and tries and tries, and then does it again. And then each level is multiplicative for you. Each time you get harder, it's multiplicative. First time, 10 times, and 9, 8, so on and so on and so on. It gets stupid for you. But that steel guy, it adds durability based on steel. So if he immediately goes steel, does that, his durability goes from, I don't know, stupid number, 1,000 to a durability of 300,000, because of all multiplication and stupidity. Yeah, his quirk is stupid. And if he does, all of a sudden the spikes grow way bigger, the edges are more defined, goes hard, his durability goes 10 times, and so on and so on, to the point where he is the unmovable object. He is the unbreakable shield. He is Atlas, the Mad Titan. Finally, May puts on the audio, and as she hears Mountain Crusher, and she goes, shit. Bye-bye, 2 floors. The third, second, and cracked the floor of the first. Baku barely dodged it. Baku goes, what the? You quirkless? I was never quirkless. They're hearing this for the first time. I call my quirk assimilation. Allows me to take anything in that has touched my nervous system and multiply it by something else that I have close to my nervous system. So you know my armor? It's connected to my spine. My spine that can take a nuclear explosion and come out unscathed. That's connected to my skin that can take a C4 charge untouched. He keeps going down the list of what he's tested on certain parts. Everybody looks at May. I thought you said you could take a nuclear explosion. Or might not be able to take a nuclear explosion. She goes, the only thing that isn't affected is the thing around his spine. That is a very glaring weakness. She goes, no, it's not. Because it's not affected until he activates steel and harden it. Then everything just goes stupid and out of control. So if anything is fast enough, he activates steel. Then hardening and hardening and hardening. He goes, you want to see my final form? Activates steel. His light or his dark green armor that is very bluish immediately goes matte gray. I'll show you. The lines in his armor get more defined, more and more and more defined, to the point where they hear metal grinding against metal as he moves fluidly. And Ida sees exhaust pipes in the back of his legs. Hey, that's my quirk. He goes, look at his arms too. May goes, look at his arms too. And he sees his brother's quirk. And he goes, hey, that's my brother's quirk. He goes, yup. So they go through the test. He's still beating the shit out of Bakugo. We go back to Uraraka. Or no. Yeah, Uraraka and Ida. They're in the observation room because the test was over a few minutes ago. Because Uraraka got to the bomb within a minute. But All Might said the test is over, but Bakugo kept attacking. So Izuku is defending himself. Not attacking, defending himself, because he heard All Might say the test is over. So whenever Bakugo is about to explode, he knocks away a hand. He goes, what? You can't take my explosions anymore? He goes, no. Then why are you knocking away my hands? Because the test is over. It's been over for the last 30-ish seconds. I'm too lazy to tell you that it was over, so I just kept knocking away your hands. Showing you that you can't harm me. Even if I don't want to get hit by an explosion, you can't harm me anymore. You already put me in a 30-day coma. Everybody's like, what? May immediately, yeah, she's writing notes, snaps her pencil, and goes, so that is the person who left him in that kind of state. And everybody's like, what? May looks at all of them. You know how I told you what he had left? They go, yeah. Well, I kept asking, who put you in that state? Who put you in that state? He goes, when I tell you who put me in that state, I'll mention that he put me in a 30-day coma. He disconnects from his armor in the middle of the battlefield and comes out of the armor, showing everything off except for his manhood, which is covered in a basically thong, metal thong. Yeah. He has a shield he can deploy when he's getting out of his armor in public. He steps out of his armor. All they see is back, the skin of his back, and he walks forward, and they see multiple metal plates on his chest, like an entire chest piece, and they see him put fingers underneath the breastplates, click buttons, and they see steam or condensation come out, or a hiss, whatever you want to call it. He pulls it off. He's still hella durable. He could take a C4 blast without the chest piece off. Places it down. All that's left... Yes, I'm making him like RoboCop. All that's left of me is this. You want to know how severe your explosions are for a normal human being? Someone would have died with this kind of injury. I'm not normal. I'm one tough son of a bitch. I only have one organic lung, my organic heart, and half my organic stomach. Everything else feels that suit behind me. My quirk, assimilation, makes it to where, in this state, nothing can harm me except something big enough to obliterate an entire building. Obliterate. Not crumble, not destroy, obliterate. Can't be anything left. I can do that. Not without your gauntlets, you can't. Grabs the chest piece, puts it back on. It clicks and locks into place and seals back up. And I see him breathe easier. Breathe a lot easier. To the point where he walks over to his armor and Bakugo blows the armor to bits. He goes, how the was I not able to destroy that earlier? He goes, because of my quirk, you asshole. Walks up, appears right next to Bakugo, sucker punches him in the face with brass knuckles that say bitch on it. And now that's imprinted onto his forehead. Right above his brow, it's imprinted on his forehead. He tries to get up. And then it says on the other fist, I'm A. And he punches right above that. And it's spelled backwards, so when he imprints it, it imprints the full words. I'm a bitch. Onto his forehead. He's now completely unconscious. He taps his ear, and he hears, already on it, Medbots are coming to get Bakugo. Can he tell Recover Girl not to heal his forehead? She goes, I don't know. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to try to do this one slow, steady. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this series. I hope I enjoy this series too. It's going to be quite fun, for me at least. I'm going to see if I can record tomorrow and upload it next week while this one's playing tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day. If you guys don't, I'll threaten you to have a better day tomorrow. And if you guys don't do that, I will find you and make you have a great day. I'm looking at you, Steve. I know there's a Steve watching me. Or at least listening to me. Well, talk to you guys later. Bye!